October 5th, 2024. Well, we've been following the ongoing events of the campaign, and I guess the big news of the week, of course, is JD Vance clearly bested Tim Walz in the vice presidential debate, and I guess it'll be the only vice presidential debate we're going to have. So I don't think that the Harris campaign is going to allow there to be another one, and so I guess you could have to say that it was a clear win for Vance, and it was confirmed when Waltz declared himself to be a knucklehead. We always knew it, but well, okay. Anyhow, but I think it does vindicate Trump's pick of Vance as a running mate. I mean, various people had their doubts, of course. My only doubt was the question of, well, maybe we should leave him in the Senate. I hate to completely lobotomize the Senate. You know what I'm saying? We need some people to have some spunk there, but I guess we need them for the campaign. And I guess, as I said all along, I think that Trump basically envisioned him as an apprentice, if you will, who could carry on after Trump's term, which we hope he has, occurs, that he could then carry on after that. And so, at any rate, so that's kind of the situation as far as the polling statistics. Well, one interesting polling event, I was actually polled myself by a well-known national polling organization very recently. So, which was kind of interesting. I think it's the first time I've been polled by local ones before, but this is the first time a named national, polling organizations you'll see on the Real Clear Politics average actually polled me. And so, and they have some. It's an interesting experience. I certainly, if you see one of those calling and you have the time to do it, I would recommend participating. Of course, at least that was one vote for Trump there, huh? So anyhow, but getting on to the issues, as far as the average hasn't changed much. We're at 2.2% up for Harris, and basically Rasmussen staying at 2% up for Trump. And historically, I think he was within 3% of accurate in the last thing, so that would make Harris up only 1% if you take the Rasmussen poll and deduct 3%. So that would suggest that Trump would win the election, based on the methods I've outlined in some previous videos. Taking into account the 4.5% of overage I would expect in the Democrat winning states over the Republican winning states. So anyhow, but we'll have to see. I mean, looking at state-by-state polls, it's a squeaker. It was up 0.1%, I think, on the total cumulative popular vote. We were up 1% in some poll that just came out. I forget what it was that did one that said that they just did all 7 battleground states and said in an aggregate Trump's up 1% in them. Of course, that could break various ways depending on which ones and all. So anyway, that's kind of that. By the way, so if you like these videos, please give me a like. I appreciate any new subscriptions, and thanks to I've got 3 new subscriptions in the last month, so I appreciate that. And of course, you can click the bell for notifications, and or if you're, if you get this through one of my social media posts, you can always, of course, look at the description below and follow me on Rumble. So I post on both. So anyhow, so that's kind of how it's going. It looks like we're kind of cruising along. Trump is going to return by the time most of you people see this, I suppose, other than the people on the first day. Is going to go back to Butler to complete his campaign speech there. This time, I presume, with much enhanced security. And so that's good. I think it will be a way to kind of, reinforce his position. And, one thing I've also been noticing is all these traitors, I call them ex-Republicans. The premier, of course, is Liz Cheney, now formally endorsing and campaigning Kamala Harris, a person who she previously disdained, but she seems to think that issues don't matter as much as, and policies don't matter as much as that there's that one person you just can't have in there, which is Donald Trump, who might do what? Well, I don't know. I mean, I think this hysteria over Trump is way overboard. And of course, as I pointed out repeatedly, and I don't want to get into depth here because I keep saying it so much, I'm kind of tired, and I don't know why The Republicans aren't saying it more. The real risk is the plot the Democrat Party has for total dominance of the political scene, not the machinations and, let's say, antics of a single individual. If in fact you consider what Trump does an antic. But I mean, he is a little unconventional compared to your straight-laced typical politician, which he at least used to impersonate on the stage. But the point is, the idea that he's going to do something significantly unconstitutional is not real. In fact, I think he's shown himself to be much more constrained than Democrats are, as he's pointed out. That for instance, it's the Democrats that are trying to put Republicans in prison for political differences and made up charges. He didn't try to go after, for instance, Hillary Clinton for things that she clearly was guilty of. So, I think it's all nonsense, and I think these people all should be ashamed of themselves. They're utter fools, in my opinion, or else they're people that never had any principle in the first place. I'm not sure which, but I'm saying that somebody like Liz Cheney has no political future. The Democrats have no use for her once Trump is no longer running for office. I mean, what do you do with her? She's way too conservative for them, and the Republicans don't really want her anymore. I mean, she's considered unreliable, untrustworthy. I mean, even Mitt Romney hasn't pulled anything this insane. So anyhow, that's about that. I do think that Pence is also making a mistake by not just shutting up. I mean, and maybe and try, but anyhow, whatever. I mean, I do think that Pence got a raw deal in the whole thing. I really do. Trump is somewhat not sensitive to people enough, I think. But and I don't see that Pence was a traitor at all in what he did. But maybe people disagree with me. I think he was following the constitutional positions right. What I would say Trump should watch out for is, guess who's going to have the role he had in the upcoming count in early 2025? Oh, it's going to be Kamala Harris. Will she want to throw out some states' electoral counts if she happens to lose? I don't know. Will the Democrats actually accept the outcome and have a peaceful and fair, easy transmission? Don't know about that. See, they're all big on challenging something which really, I think, was an event that got a little out of control. I don't think that in any way, and I know we have this latest lawfare from Jack Smith, but I don't think there's any way in which Trump actually wanted a riot. I don't think a riot had any chance of changing the outcome of the election. They might have delayed the count for a day or so. It didn't even do a full day, and it wouldn't have changed anything because the certified votes were what they were, and there was no majority in either house to challenge them. The fact that the Congress can actually challenge the certified votes is a little bit scary to me anyhow, because the Democrats very well might do that for real. So we'll have to see how that turns out. But so at any rate, we're moving along. Everybody's campaigning as is. I'd still the latest thing is, I guess, a little bit of abuse of former girlfriend by Kamala's significant other. Apparently he slapped a lady around because she was a little too fond of a valet or something. I don't know. Anyhow, we'll see where that goes, if it matters. But it's kind of interesting that they have their own little problems as well, like that. And so at any rate, that's come up recently, and I think we should see how that goes. But the main thing, I still have an attitude that the Republican campaign is just not hard hitting enough. I mean, I know there's a money problem. I got that. We have this whole thing with Soros trying to buy up all these radio stations. Can somebody find the basis of filing a lawsuit to try to stop that? To say that the FCC is not following proper procedures, as I understand, and maybe block with a court action that acquisition? That would be nice. Things that are going on in that area. And of course, the hurricane Helene has done a lot of damage to areas which, at least in North Carolina, are Republican-leaning areas, and probably most of those mail-out ballots, regardless of which party was going to receive them, are probably trashed somewhere or another. At least a lot of them are, either in mailboxes that got blown away and went down the river, or houses that were destroyed, or whatever. So that'll be interesting to see if we can find a way to make sure that people in that area can vote and and not have it swing the election in North Carolina. The problem I fear is that people there who don't have food, don't have a house, don't have hardly anything, probably the voting is probably not the biggest thing on their mind right now. But let's hope that aid gets in there, because I think that I would like to say that the administration has done a very poor job of providing relief, and they seem to, in some places, even trying to inhibit it. We have all those Army helicopters and the 101st Air Assault Division. And why are they not being brought in to fly relief to these outlying areas where the roads are out? I mean, they mobilized, what, 1,000 Army troops so far to assist. Even the state has been a little bit slow. I mean, Democrats, we'll do this. And so anyhow, but that's something that I think we need to keep the pressure up on. And otherwise, I do think, as I said, hard-hitting campaign. The real issue is if they do get full control of the government, the country as we know it will change in a bad way. I think it's almost certain. We were just lucky that two senators held out in the first 2 years of Biden's term, because they were prepared to do some major mayhem. And of course, those people are no longer Democrats, and they will no longer be in office next year. So do you think the next new hires, or that guy, that union leader who's pretending to be an independent in Nebraska, you think he's not going to caucus for the Democrats and vote the way they are? Do you really think that? Yeah, it's a typical stunt they pulled before, so watch out for that. I have seen some warning signs in some of our incumbency races. I'm not sure how seriously to take it, but I'm taking it seriously that I shot off another $25 today. So you know, and you know, I'm going to continue to support in the last month here. I'll continue to support our guys into the and ladies into the finale here, and let's hope we win this one. But at any rate, so that's kind of that. The other issue, I guess we might want to, I do follow my, kind of the geopolitical scene. I don't know if those videos are as popular as my more direct political ones are, but this recent, Iranian attack on Israel, which, I mean, Israel's been picking off Hezbollah people and Hamas people pretty readily, and I guess at some point, the pressure inside of Iran to take some kind of action mounted too much, and they've launched this relatively a surprise, well, somewhat. I think our U.S. intelligence had detected with satellites that the missiles were being prepared to launch ahead of time, but the actual date of launch, the time of launch, I don't think was necessarily announced, although our service satellites would pick them up as soon as they were fired, of course. But and I suppose that was flashed to Israel almost immediately. So, at any rate, this attack, I've seen some material on this. It turns out that the CEP, circular error probable, of these missiles wasn't too good. And so they did attack a variety of strategic targets inside of Israel. The damage was, I think, relatively light. They did hit one of the shelters at one of the major Israeli air bases. So they may have lost F-35 or some other significant airplane if it had been in that one hardened shelter that got direct hitted by a missile. Although most of the other missile warheads just basically kind of shotgunned all around the base within about a 2-kilometer radius of the center. So it doesn't look like, I mean, they did shoot at Mossad headquarters, but missed, but did some damage nearby. And apparently, because of the protective sheltering and early warning system Israel has against all the rocket fire they've had from Gaza and Lebanon, anyhow, that they were able to take shelter. And I think one Palestinian was killed with some debris from an intercepted missile. So it was a major event, and the question is, where does Israel go next? The administration apparently thinks that Israel shouldn't attack the oil because they don't want to increase the price of oil before the election, and they shouldn't attack their nuclear sites for some reason. So what do they go after then that's worth going after? So either they got the thing is, I don't even know I don't know what the capabilities they have. Is the main weapons Israel has is tactical aircraft. And at tactical aircraft, are very effective at certain ranges, but when you're going, over 700-800 miles into defended areas and flying over probably non-friendly airspace to get there, maybe not very hostile. I mean, I don't know what Iraq, for instance, can do about it. They have a few F-16s, but whether they would really care to try to engage the Israelis, I don't know. Probably not. But the point is, they'd have to do that pretty much to get there, I think, unless the Saudis gave them a clear path. But given the fact that those missiles and drones that Iran has is more favorable to hitting Saudi Arabia than it is Israel, I don't know they would want to take that risk. So probably flying through Syria and Iraq would be the preferable course. And you have to face some Russian anti-aircraft capability in Syria, but I guess they can neutralize that. Um, anyway, so that's kind of that. I guess it comes on my bottom line is I think that they probably should not actually engage because all you would have is another tit for tat thing with another wave of missiles, and I don't see how you get dominance at this point. So my advice would be, I'm sure the Israeli government's going to take my advice, right? But my advice would be to pursue the ongoing effort in Lebanon against the Hezbollah and try to actually successfully drive Hezbollah north of the Litani River so that they could, you know, um, have a little peace for Galilee, as they say, reference to a previous operation in 1982, if you recall, and let their people, go back to their houses in northern Israel. That would seem to be more productive in getting a tit for tat with Iran, which probably wouldn't, at best, wouldn't be a win. It would probably just be a destructive draw for both sides and might lead to some really nasty escalation, particularly if the Iranians decided to shut down the oil from the Persian Gulf. If they lose their oil shipments, so does everybody else, and that would be bad. So, but on the other hand, maybe they have a master plan. I don't know. That thing with the exploding pagers was one I hadn't imagined. So, anyway, we'll see how that pans out. But anyway, it's an ongoing conflict, and Israel needs to, I think, get that Hezbollah forces north of the Litani so that they can at least reoccupy all their own territory. Anyway, so that's about all for that. I will, of course, be posting this on YouTube and Rumble, as I mentioned before, and the addresses of my social media accounts are in the description below, as well as the address, for Rumble for the people who get this on YouTube. So all for this time.